We're now down to part 3 of New Life CFOs managing your business as you're coming out of the COVID crisis. Just as a refresher, in case you missed parts of 1 and 2, in number 1, we talked about the 13-week cash flow, which I'm sure all of y'all have downloaded and mastered by now. Number 2 has to do with decision-driven metrics, and I'm quite confident that every one of y'all have a different board meeting or financial summit going on in your companies at this point in time. Today, we're going to talk about what your business should look like on the other side of the crisis. So most companies at this point in time, they've already gone through, they've gotten their money at PPP, right? They have structured their 13-week rolling cash flow forecast to know that they're okay and they're not going to run out of cash because they're being very proactive in their decision making. They're starting to change the way in which they make money because now they have decision-based metrics that tell them that they're okay or not okay and what to do about it and how to fix the numbers. So I'm going to assume that you're already through there. What that's basically giving you at this point in time is breathing room. So take a good deep breath. The worst part is over. Your company is okay. You're on the path towards recovery. And this is the perfect time to take a reflective, strategic pause. So for most of you, you are the person who created the company. You're the founder of the company. You're the primary investor in the company, but this company is your baby. Now, we've all heard the deal about, well, it's my baby and everything else. There is not a truer statement in the world that the business is your baby. It is an emotional, visceral part of you. So here's the interesting thing, though. All of us want to love our baby. We want to care for it and love it and spend lots of time with it because we enjoy that relationship so much. We want our baby to grow up and be healthy and strong and be able to produce whether we're there or not. So your business, the analogy to a baby, is very real. What I really want you to think about is 2 things relative to your baby. Number 1 is, gosh, how much do I love my baby right now, right? So tie that question back to, why did you start this business? What is it that was your big goal that you saw as a great opportunity? It was a great vision, a great product, a great service that you thought was really missing. And more importantly, it was probably something that you were extraordinarily passionate about. So I want you to do a quick mental gap analysis about that passion. I want you to write down the number of how passionate you were about your business the day you started it. I'm sure it was like a 9 or 10, or else you wouldn't have started it. Because effectively, you have invested somewhere between 60 and 80% of your net worth is tied up in this business. People make those kinds of decisions because they're crazy passionate about this idea, concept, service, product, or whatever else. So write down your passion level of when you started this business. Then hit the pause button on this video, go walk around your building and everything else, and take another breather. Then come back and I want you to write down what is your passion number for right now. So hopefully both of them are 10. You're in great shape. But frequently, when people start their business, they're hyper passionate about it, and that is a 10. When they've gone through a big struggle like this and they're reorganizing their business, they might be down to a 3 or 4. And their loving relationship with their baby is getting a little bit sideways, that the baby's becoming more of a burden than a blessing. It's time to fix that. Because when you get through this crisis, you need to be having a business and a baby that you love, that you're crazy passionate about, and you can't wait to see what the next 10 years looks like. Not something that's a burden, that you're pushing a big rock up a hill or anything else like that. So when you step back from your business, in doing that gap analysis about it was a 10, it's a 3 or 4, whatever it is now, start thinking through what would have to change to get your passion quotient back up to your original passions. Now, part of the exercise on doing that is not only just looking at what you're passionate about, but also reassess what you are awesome at. So if any of y'all have ever read the book, The E-Myth, which is a great book to read, It's really interesting because it always talks about people who start businesses. And I think the example in the original book was about a gal that baked cakes. And she loved to bake cakes. And soon after she had started her business, she started hating the business because she was no longer baking cakes. She was doing accounting and she was chasing down payroll and she's doing all these things that she hated, right? So think about not only what you have your passion factor and what you'd like to be your passion about, but think about what you are crazy good at. Because there's a high probability that the things that you're crazy good at drive your passion, drive your enthusiasm, drives your love for the business, but it's also the things that make you want to come in the door every day. I will also tell you that if the owner really looks at what they are crazy great at, they will probably find things that no one else in their business is good at, not nearly as good at. That's almost universally true with a lot of small businesses, especially where the founder owner is the person running the business. They have unique sets of gifts and skills that they are outstanding at that makes a compelling message about why customers even want to dance with them in the first place. But over time, just like the EMET, they're busy herding cats, chasing down employees, taking calls from customers they really don't want to take, whatever the case may be. But they're doing all the things that they think that they have to versus the things that they want to. So also do a gap analysis of that. In fact, think through how much of your day, week, or month is spent doing the things that you don't like to do. We had this one client, and this gal was a dynamo. Sales was her DNA over and over and over. And you talk to Gail and everything else, and she was one of my favorite people to talk to, whether we were talking about business or not. And Gail's business was really struggling on sales. And she kept on saying over and over, it's like, if my people could only sell as good as I do. I'm like, okay, well, that seems pretty obvious. So it's like, how much do you sell? How much time do you sell? Oh gosh, I used to sell all the time. Okay, but how much are you selling? What percent of your time? It's like 20% of my time. And I go, why is it so low, Gail? Clearly you love to do it. You're very excited about it. And you think you could kill everybody on your team and outsell them, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, whatever it is. You are very confident of your ability to outsell everybody else in your company. So why aren't you selling? Oh, jeez. Her hands go up, her exasperations, the sighs start, and she starts telling me about all the stuff that she has to do. And I go, so what if I could tell you how to find your next salesperson, and they're only going to cost you about $45,000 a year, and they will double your revenue? And she goes, that person doesn't exist. And I go, yes, they do. You're going to hire an administrative assistant to take all the junk off your plate and free you up to go and do the things that you love to do, that you're passionate about doing, and that you're uniquely equipped to do. And she's like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. It's like, yeah, the cheapest salesperson you're ever going to hire in the world is somebody to take the junk off your plate, right? So when you align your passions, go re-examine your passions, go re-examine what you are uniquely gifted to do, and then cast that vision forward. I want you to cast that vision forward up to 6 months, probably 12 months, because at the end of this deal, and I want you to define at that point in time, what do I want this business to look like? What do I want our services to be like? What do I love to do? What are the things that I'm passionate about doing? So that you can get both your I love to do time up and my passion time up. If you can get time up to like 60, 70, 80%, and you can get your passion back up to 8, 9, or 10, I will tell you that your business will blow up on the other side of this. So you're thinking, why is this finance person telling me about the emotional side of my business and all this other stuff? Well, let's go back to the thing that I said in video number 2. Your numbers are a direct result of your people, decisions, behaviors, processes, and systems. So when your people are really excited and passionate and love what they're doing, what's the likelihood that they're making great decisions, their behaviors are outstanding, they're creative in their problem solving and attacking your processes, and they want to continually refine your systems? Well, positive attitude and excitement does all those things, and it starts with you. So you are the visceral owner of your business as well as the financial owner of your business. And as such, you dictate the emotional state of your business. When your excitement and enthusiasm goes up, so does everybody else's. When you see wins around the corner, they see wins around the corner. When the burdens are off your plate and the joy is back in the business, the burdens are off their plate and the joy is back in their business. They want to be there because people will come there for the money, but they stay there for the environment and people. Finance 101, I know. So here's what we're going to really look at. So when you're looking at your business, I want you to critically examine the things that you don't like to do. And that's going to be, we're going to start out with your revenues. And some of this we covered in video number 2, but it's worth talking about again. So part of your revenues might be a burden to you at this point because you're constantly, you started out with this great systemic recurring revenue stream. And from that, you grew into these new lumpy projects, but the lumpy projects are creating stress for you. You're always trying to recreate that business. So at this point, you go, how much do I love my lumpy revenues? Do I really want to be in the lumpy revenue business when this is over? Is it draining my energy to always manage this risk on the lumpy? If so, let's start putting a path towards the other types of the revenues that you really enjoy and love. The other thing to look at is, we talked about the discretionary nature of your revenue to your customers. Understand that and see if you can change that dynamic. Now, that's not directly related to your passion and joy, but it is related to your peace. Because the more that that comes about, and the more that your products and services are needed by your customers versus wanted, then the more sticky your customers will be, the less hand-holding you're going to have to do, and the more that they are pulling you into more business versus you pushing them into more business. And that's a very important dynamic. Also look at your revenue for the things that you love to do. What percent of your revenue are the things that you really don't enjoy and you bolted on, and now you find yourself doing the things that you have to do on your revenue stream that you don't love? Start minimizing those and creating a path to exit those, because it's highly likely that you are spending a lot of your emotional, financial, and human resources on the things that aren't producing enough return. So along those lines, as far as return on your revenue, look at the profitability, the gross profit of your different revenue streams, because you might find that your business is more profitable being smaller with the right kind of revenue than it is bigger with more revenue, but the wrong kind. You know, back when I was in commercial flooring, which we mentioned in the last deal, I used to tell my sales folks, hey, look, here's the goal for the year for sales. I want you to sell 1 yard of carpet each for $1 million this year, right? Because it's real simple. We have one transaction, we get in $1 million. If we do that in week 1, we're kind of done because I had 10 salespeople, and the cost of servicing 1 yard of carpet each was really, really small. We could retire for the rest of the year and then come back the next January and just sell that 1 yard of carpet for $1 million. And of course, they told me, Burt, you're crazy, that can't be done. So I get it. That's going to be a difficult goal, but get as close as you can, right? So let's focus on those yards of carpet that are crazy profitable for each effort, because it's stunning to me how much effort it takes to close a small value, low margin job relative to a high value, high margin job. Generally, it's almost the same. So how much of your time do you want to spend closing high volume, low margin jobs? So start shifting into the jobs that you want to do, the higher margins, the things that really make it worth your time to actually close on that business. And I will guarantee that you'll start looking at things differently. There's some other things that I want you to do when you're exploring your passion. I want you to look around not only at your customers and your revenue streams, and customers is a really important thing, so I should have taken a little bit more time on that. Some of you might be thinking about, golly, if I look at my portfolio of customers, start grading those out based upon your joy of engaging with those customers. Because life is too short to engage with customers that you don't really enjoy their company, enjoy servicing them, and that they're just a delight to have as a customer. And that doesn't mean that you're abusive in your pricing or anything else like that. It just means that they see the value of your services, they appreciate the value of their services, and they are willing to pay for them quickly, right? Those customers are worth keeping. But at the other end of that spectrum, let's face it, we all have customers that they are clanky, they might be rude, they are demanding, they're always nickel and diming you and everything else. And I don't know about you, those people are mentally and emotionally exhausting, right? I don't get any vig out of those people whenever I talk to them. In fact, sometimes I find myself avoiding them. So if you want to look at the profitability of your customers, also look at the passion alignment that you have with your customers. Because the first leading indicator that you have an unprofitable customer is that they are a pain in your neck. So if you identify the customers that are a pain in your neck and you start moving them on to your competitors, well, hallelujah. Just think about the miserable aspects that's going to be going on inside your competitor's office while you can focus on your fun and value appreciative customers and re-engage your team, not for the burden of the people that are just driving you insane, but for the people that love what you do, understand it, and get it. So that's the easiest way to understand whether your customers are profitable or not. Look for the pains, and they're probably unprofitable. It's just that simple. The other thing that I want you to look at is, let's say that your business has grown over the years and everything else, and you're in some level of need to restructure your cost. This is also a really good time to look at your people, right? You may have really talented people whose presence in company you don't enjoy. Life is too short for that too, right? If they are cantankerous, clanky, noisy people in your company, it's time to move them out. It's time to realign your culture to the thing that makes you happy, the thing that drives you to want to open up the door to your business every day. So if you have those people in your business, even if they are the number one production person, the number one salesperson, try and start moving them out, right? Because they are eating up your joy. You might also just have the big girl conversation with them about, hey, look, I love what you produce, but you are painful to be around, right? So we need to change one of those things. We need to change your pain factor or your presence. Love what you produce, but your pain factor is no longer worth what you're producing, and we're going to change either how you produce, or how you engage, or your presence here in this building. And that's a really great conversation that if you have it, not disrespectfully, because again, we're dealing with humans, respectfully, just laying it out at this point in time, we either need to change you, what you're doing, or we need to change you of where you're doing it. So if you take all those things together about really exploring what you're passionate about, what you love about, what you invested 80% of your net worth to do, and then re-examine your business, what aligns with that. And then start over the next couple of months, maybe a year, to start moving your business in that direction. Because what's going to happen when COVID is finally over and an extended recession, if we have one of those, is kind of through with all this, you're going to be in a business that you love again. And the fastest growing businesses for entrepreneurial based businesses are always the businesses where the owners and the management team loves what they're doing. So yeah, it's not exactly Finance 101, but it's probably one of the most important things for you to do to define what you want your business to look like, financially, of course. Absolutely. But emotionally, services, customers, locations, doesn't matter, vendors, who do you want to be doing business with and what does that look like? So here's the crazy powerful thing. If you want to actually invigorate your team, understand what that vision is and then share it. Because people in moments of crises, of uncertainty or recessions, they are relieved and ready to work as soon as they understand this future vision. And when you define it for them, being the leader that you are going to be stunned at how fast they start moving in that direction. But if it's just a plan you have in your head and you're not sharing it with anybody, don't be surprised if it doesn't happen. But as soon as it starts happening, you start sharing this vision, they're going to start moving in that direction because now they have a purpose instead of a panic or concern. And they will move there extraordinarily fast because now they know the direction you want them to go. The other thing that's going to happen that's really interesting in this dynamic, the people you don't want there, once they understand the new direction and culture, well, they're probably going to self-eliminate. So lastly, when you're exploring this, most people need somebody to help them financially quantify what this looks like. Maybe pull together a projection, a balance sheet and cash flow stuff. So hopefully you have those kind of talents on your team. But if you don't, golly, it's weird. If only there was a service out there of like where you could get a fractional CFO or get somebody with those kind of technical experts that wouldn't be a full-time headcount or anything else like that. They could come in and help you do the math and planning to see what numbers come out of this extraordinary new vision that you have. I hope you find one of those and discover what one of those businesses might look like someday. But if you don't, give me a call because I'll be happy to help you out.